Hello, I am Baal Kadmon, and I'd like to thank you for watching and or listening to this video. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing much better. I'm having fewer symptoms now. I have full days, actually all of last week pretty much. I was symptom-free from the vestibular neuritis. So that's good. That means the exercises that I'm doing they're helping. But I'm still in this weird cocoon that I put myself in. And I mentioned in a previous video, when I'm going through something, I tend to sort of contract from the world. I mean, I'm still functional. I still go to the supermarket. I do all the normal things, right? But I tend to contract. So all of a sudden, I'm not, texting as much. I'm not emailing as much. And, and that's not fair to people. Also, it's not their fault. But at the same time, it's just an instinct I have, right? Where I go into the cave, lick my wounds, so to speak, and then come back out. But so I'm working to get over that part. So, but I do want to mention today, I just pre-released a program called Between Scripture and Sorcery, the 6th and 7th books of Moses. Now, I'm working on the Watcher course as well, and that was supposed to come out first. But they're being worked on in tandem. And the reason why this wasn't even on my radar, and you'll hear about that in the introductory video in a moment. But for some reason, I got so many requests to cover these texts. And I'm not sure exactly why they all sort of came at the same time. I don't know, maybe there was something trending somewhere. And I have a lot of experience with this book. These books rather, but I didn't know as much about the history of it because I haven't actually used these books in a long time, but I'm familiar with the text itself. And so I said, all right, let me, I'll create something. And this is a very extensive program. It's long, it's pretty long. These videos are not, 2 minutes long, but I'm hoping that you'll find it interesting. Right now, like I said, it's in pre-release. So if you want to sign up, you can go to occultcourses.com/Moses. You'll get the first 2 modules, so you can get a preview of what's to come. And those are pretty significant modules too. These aren't 2-minute videos, so you'll have something to work with at least. So with that, I am going to present to you the introductory video for this program, and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the course Between Scripture and Sorcery, the 6th and 7th books of Moses. Now, I have to say, this is a text that I've read many, many times in my early occult journeys. And the reason why I created this program, this wasn't even on my radar. Okay, this wasn't even on my radar until I got a few dozen requests over the last 6 months asking for me to clarify. And because I've had a lot of experience with this book, I said, all right, let me create a program on this. So this is sort of like a spontaneous program, and I go very deep here. Again, it was completely unplanned, but I'm really happy that they mentioned it. But I'm also curious why the sudden influx. I wonder if there was some type of, maybe something was trending. I don't know. I didn't see anything myself. But the fact that so many people asked me to clarify and create something means that somehow this topic came up somewhere. And I have to tell you, because I was really familiar with the text itself, right? I didn't really know much about the history, but as I started researching for this program, I couldn't believe what I was finding. I mean, we're talking about this book upended communities. Okay, this, fact or fiction, right? This upended the books themselves upended communities. People went to jail, court cases, everything around the world. Okay, let's put it this way. I know that the grimoires like the Goetia, and various forms of that Solomonic tradition are the most popular in the occult. But this, the 6th and 7th books of Moses, has far more reach in the sense that it was easier to obtain. They were like cheap pamphlets. They were mass marketing these, and I'll get into all of that a little bit later. But let me just mention that this is dedicated entirely to these two books. A lot of it's going to be history. I'm going to read directly from it, and we're going to examine every chapter, every symbol, every spell, and I'm going to uncover as much as I can and how it blends biblical and magical lore. Now, the intent of the course is to provide practitioners like you with an understanding of why and how this text matters. Far from being just a simple spell book, right? And regardless of whether Moses wrote them or not, and I'll even get into that a little bit later, it is a very important intersection of faith and magic. And the work is powerful, even if its origins are a little bit dubious, right? So what we're going to cover are the esoteric content of the book. Of the books, rather, completely from beginning to end. I'm going to trace the origins and journey of this work from 18th century Europe all the way to the New World, essentially, and we'll see how it emerged in the age of grimoires, but circulated via these cheap pamphlets and gained popularity across continents. And then I'll examine also the role of the books in various occult and folk traditions, from the European mystics to the spiritualists to African American Hoodoo practitioners to Caribbean and Western African spiritual movements. There's a lot to cover. So throughout this program, I'm going to try to emphasize a balanced perspective, right? I'm going to treat the 6th and 7th books of Moses with respect as a text of the occult, but also applying, critical, historical, and linguistic insights into it, because there's Hebrew there, right? So, and that's something that I happen to specialize in. So I'm going to acknowledge the stories and the beliefs that surround this text, but I'm also going to give it a critical eye. And like I said, I'm going to read from the beginning to the end the entire text because it is in public domain and I'm able to do that. And I'm going to go very deep into the symbolism and tell you, is the Hebrew even intelligible? Because a lot of the Hebrew is unintelligible. It's gibberish. They made it up, right? But the Hebrew letters do have power. So I'll cover all of that stuff a little bit later. This is going to be a very robust program, and I haven't seen any program like this on this topic specifically. With that, I'm going to move to the next video where I'm going to give you a broad overview about the significance of the 6th and 7th books of Moses. See you then. Well, there you have it. That was the introduction to my program between Scripture and Sorcery, the 6th and 7th books of Moses. And like I said, it's in pre-release right now. You can get it at occultcourses.com/Moses, where you'll gain immediate access to the first 2 modules. And like I said, this is going to be pretty deep. It's all I'm going to tell you is that this is probably the most comprehensive program you're ever going to find on this text. And it's taken me a long time to get this all together. And again, this is pretty much all I do. So I'm sitting here all day and sometimes all night to get this work out to you. And I tend not to release things that people don't ask me about. And of course, if I don't have knowledge about it, I won't create anything. Because I find that disingenuous. I see people producing stuff that they don't really have knowledge about, and that's sort of a little gross for me. So I make sure that everything that I produce is something that I know something about. So anyway, that's it for now. Again, occultcourses.com/Moses if you're interested. I think you will be. It's a very interesting topic. It's far more intricate than you would think, even though the text itself seems a little almost trivial in some way. It was trivialized, but there is power there. There is power there, and I go deep, like super, super deep. So with that, that is it for this video. I hope you're doing well, and I'm going to try to be more active again. I'm going to try. I keep on saying that, but I'm going to. I just have to sort of jumpstart my life a little bit. All right. I will speak to you soon. So mote it be.